It does come with a with an owner's manual here. Tells you the usual safety things, how to put on the belt and the disc. Looks like it has adjustment information, a little bit of electrical, and how to take things apart and put it back together. We also have an entire listing of all the parts. Hopefully you'll never need it. And then there is a, let's see, there's a 5-year warranty if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. So that's all good. Not that familiar with the Rikon tools. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that name right. You do see it featured on some of the woodworking channels on PBS and other places. Now I've got the unit deboxed. That's kind of a wrestling match. It weighs 38 pounds. So the best way to do that is to take the box off the unit rather than the unit out of the box. And that worked pretty well. For whatever reason, we have as a part some wood. And I suppose that would be just to test it out once we get it hooked up. We do have the miter itself is plastic. Apparently they all are. I've heard that that's not all that popular. Kind of hoping the Rikon might have been metal, but the plate is all metal, as is the most of the rest of the equipment. We've got an adjustment. I believe that's probably for that. And they do give you the tools, which is nice. Not a lot of tools. And a couple of bolts, so we got about 2 or 3 bolts or so, and we can have it up and running. There was some talk online on the reviews that the Rikon doesn't take a standard size hose for your shop vac, but as we can see, case this fits perfectly. That's going to be a big help because I didn't want to use the smaller setup I have on my hand sanders. So all in all, so far anyway, it looks good. We'll get it put together here. Well, I had no trouble installing this workbench rest like they talk about. Everything you need is there. They've got the bolts with the hex head here. I don't know what this littler one is, and I don't see anything on it. Of course, this is the cover of your drive, and it looks like this is probably some adjustment. So now we're going to move on to putting up the shelf. And let me get the act together on that, and then we will be back with you. Now the instructions show how to attach this brace, but it's already on there, so that was nice. This is metal. It's not plastic, thank goodness. As far as the installation goes, couldn't be simpler. On this side, we have there's a little plug right here, a little hole, and that goes in there. And the adjusting bolt goes right here, which on a normal person would not have much trouble with it. But who said I'm normal? There we go. Now there is a gauge on the side here. So you can adjust the angle of the table. Maybe it'll be better under this camera. Yeah. You can adjust this just by tightening that bolt, and then it does show the various degrees up, from 90. Probably, well, I'm on a little stand here, so it doesn't go all the way down. But that's handy. And it looks like we're probably ready to plug it in. But even with the table as tight as I can get it, there's hardly any effort at all, and I'm down like this. So I'm not sure if I missed something. Might need to add a washer, or maybe I have that washer in the wrong spot. I don't know, but this isn't acceptable. See if we can get that figured out. There's no way you can possibly use this as a rest if all it takes is light pressure. It looks like we're ready to fire it up. I've got all the instructions and everything. I believe it's right. I have never owned one of these before or used one, so I'm going by what the instructions say to do. I'm also not a experienced woodworker. I just make things that we need to get by with the house and the boat. Well, here we go. That's not too terribly noisy. That's pretty heavy pressure. It's pretty heavy pressure, and it's not bogging down. I didn't turn the vacuum on though, so. Now we're talking serious noise. So you are going to want to log in these. So I was able to sand off a good quarter of the piece. Of course, I was able to sand about a quarter of it off. Of course, it's coarse, so it's leaving these little tails, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to presume that you would, if that's your workspace, you probably do that. But as you can see, it's a pretty neat little machine. It did not bog down under some pretty heavy pressure. That's been the complaint of some of these machines. This is a half horse, is what they call it, but the amps here, I believe, was about, let me find it. Yeah, it's 4.3 amps, half horse, and so that's not not a real powerful unit, but you know, if you were commercial, I imagine you'd want a full horse. Considerably more money, and I don't believe I would use it enough to justify that cost. But so far, we'll see. The table did hold up, but I don't know if it's a big deal. If you're doing some really fine sanding, this rattle may not be good, and I have no idea if the other brands do that. Your pressure is forward, though. It's pushing into the unit. It's not pushing down. Because if you push down and that's very light, that's what you get. So, otherwise, we'll get some more experience with this, and as far as I can tell, it's a good machine. That's a pretty nice little corner. I didn't really try that hard, but it did do a fine job. That's what I've been looking forward to with this type of a sander. I'm going to turn the vacuum on now and sand a piece vertically and see if the vacuum is doing as good a job on the belt as it did on the disc. Looks like it did better, if anything. So that's nice to know. Don't you just hate it when the instructions assume that you know something that you don't? It's one of those things that, hey, if you're with it, everybody knows what to do. In this case, how in the heck do you tip this sucker up? I don't see anything here. There's nothing in the, there's nothing at all in the book about it. Finally, after some experimentation, I found out, here's your control. You got to loosen this. This is a 1/2 inch on the bottom here. And once that's loosened, voila. But they don't show that in the book anywhere. And from what I could find online anyway, I couldn't find anything either. So, one mystery solved. Now I have another one in that the belt is tracking off. So we do, looks like we have an adjustment. Looks like we have an adjustment right there. And I don't know about any place else. I'm sure it is not mentioned in the book somewhere as well. So we will continue with that general idea. Oh, I did forget to mention in my haste that you really need to tighten that bolt back before you use it. I'm sure that would make the safety people happy. So we'll just do that. Now it can't fall back down. Now I don't know if there's any advantage of having this at different levels, you know, different angles. Theoretically it could be here. I don't know. I'm not going to find out. This is what I see used in online and whatnot, so that's what we'll do. We'll just go figure out how to get this thing to track. It does not mention that in the book. Back roller, or the let's see, we'll define it as this one is wider. That roller is wider than this one, so it does have some play towards the stern, but we'll see what we have right here. Plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. There we go. That seems to move right over. I don't know if that's bad, but I think we want to try to fix it. Who knew it could be so easy? That little thing is not in the book. I would never have dreamt to run the machine and adjust it with this. But it does seem to have done a good job. So, looks like we have operating equipment here, and we'll see if we can put it to good use. All in all, once you get the hang of it, it does seem to be a good machine. Apparently I'm not as intuitive as it is, but I'm sure this is going to be very helpful as we progress. And you're wondering how come the sailboat owners bought this. It's because you know, there's a whole lot of things about a sailboat that require sanding. Well, before I leave you here, a note about mounting. This unit weighs about 38 pounds, and they do recommend that it's bolted down to a table. The problem is I've got a really small shop here, if you want to call it that, and I don't really have a permanent location for it. I believe what I'll probably do here is bolt it down to a board, and then I can clamp it onto my work table. I do have some space for that. I just don't see leaving this out all the time is going to be helpful, but we'll see. Certainly if you've got a table that you can bolt this to that's separate from your workbench, that would be great. This is a feature that they show as a safety. You can pull this out and then the switch won't activate. I think it's a great idea, except what do you do with this thing? That could easily get lost, and if it does, you're up a creek. So I don't believe I'll use that. I do run this off a power strip. I can just reach down and flip the power strip off as I shut off this, and then I unplug it. This machine's far too dangerous to take any chances with, especially with this coarse belt and the coarse paper that's on it now. You could really do some damage. When it's mounted like this, it doesn't move at all. When it was mounted on the front, it tended to be very easy to collapse. So that's nice to know. Looks like it defaults to about a 1/16 of an inch right here. So that's a good find. It didn't really tell me about how to do this, but sometimes you have to be a bit of a detective and look at the holes and the screws and the size of different things, and you come up with something pretty cool. To loosen the sanding belt, just pull the silver lever. Drive belt replacement or adjustment is well covered in the owner's manual.